There once was a plumber on break. Stars and coins he did take. He spun and he tossed, the big ugly boss, all 'cause he wanted some cake. Hey guys, James here with another game review, this time talking about the classic, all-time great, Mario 64, re-released as part of the Mario 3D All-Stars set, which includes 64, Sunshine, and Galaxy. This video will be part 1 of 3 as I go back and assess these classic 3D Mario platformers. I think this game doesn't really need much of an introduction or any comparisons. It is Mario in all his mustachy greatness, but this time, for the first time, in 3D. You collect stars, you fight Bowser, and you save Princess Peach. This game, while not the first 3D platformer, is the grandfather of 3D platforming. Of course, I want to get my own personal biases out of the way. This is a game I've been playing since I was maybe 6. I've played it numerous times across the original 64, the later DS remake, and again through emulators. I absolutely love the game, but at the same time, I will try to be as objective as possible when I do this review. It's undeniably one of the greatest and most important games of all time, but in this review, I'll try and address, does it still actually hold up, and is it worth buying 3D All-Stars to play it? So without further ado, let's get into this. As usual, let's start with the graphics and sound. The graphics are pretty much what you would expect, and yet I can't help but feel a little bit disappointed. Let me explain. Yes, the graphics for 1996 were awesome, and it was crazy to go from this to this. But at the same time, considering the quality of remakes and remasters we've been getting, including some which Nintendo themselves have done, I can't help but feel a bit disappointed. Maybe it's expectations playing a role, as I guess this should be considered more of a port than a remaster, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed. There's a decent amount of graphical glitches which seem to occur, and due to the N64's limitations, draw distances can be pretty small, so sometimes you'll see coins not appear until you get relatively close. The fact that they didn't fix this, and the fact that they couldn't even be bothered to bring it to a widescreen aspect ratio, in my opinion is kind of unforgivable. The graphics look exactly like they used to, but in HD. But again, I'm just disappointed that more effort wasn't put into something celebrating 35 years of Mario. The sound is great as usual and very nostalgic. The sound effects are solid and iconic, the 1-ups, the coins, the thwomps, all of it is back in its former glory. The music, of course, is the main attraction in the sound department. Each stage just has such great and iconic music. The game also allows you to listen to all of the iconic tracks off your Switch, so this is definitely one of the best parts of the bundle. Now, of course, the main meat of the review. Mario 64 is always rightfully praised for great gameplay and level design. I'm happy to say that for the most part, the game will feel exactly like you remember it, and for a 25-year-old game, it still holds up pretty well. In case you aren't aware of how the game works, you play as Mario, who arrives at the Peach's Castle hub world looking for some of them cakes. You jump into various paintings which bring you to different stages, each with its own themes and unique aspects. You're given the title of a star, which gives you a hint of how to obtain it, but even then you aren't really restricted to only trying to find that specific star, so there is a nice amount of freedom in the game. The level design is still fun and varied, although I did find myself quite annoyed at some worlds, especially a few of the later ones. Some boss fights also leave a bit to be desired, as they tend to be a little bit formulaic and samey. Overall though, it was nice to rediscover these worlds and collect as many stars as I could. Of course, one of the most highly acclaimed parts of the game is Mario's movement, which is still satisfying, deep, and responsive, although it's definitely not going to feel as good as, say, a modern-day Mario Odyssey. Again, it's a 25-year-old game, and it really shows how far game design has come, but it all still feels really good to play. All except for the camera. My god, the camera is just god-awful, and I honestly don't remember it being this frustrating in the past. You see, the camera used to be controlled through the N64 C buttons, so the camera pivots were very limited. This is of course one part which has not aged well at all. I was playing on a Pro controller, and trying to use the right stick felt impossible at times. The camera sometimes gets stuck at certain angles, forcing you to rotate all the way around the other way to get the view that you want. I can confidently say that the terrible camera angles were responsible for a number of my deaths, as I just couldn't get the proper depth perception at times. The camera is without a doubt the worst part of the whole experience. Overall, Mario 64 actually still holds up really well when compared to modern day games, but the age definitely does show a bit. It's an all-time classic and a really fun game. But I can't help but feel like they could have done a lot more with this version, mainly in the graphics department. I know they didn't want to mess with the magic, but it's not like they didn't have a great remake in the DS version of the game, which they could have maybe ported over as well. It's one game of 3 in the bundle, so that would put its value at around $20, and I would say it's worth $20 for sure, just because it's a great game. But as a remaster of an old classic, I can't help but be a little bit disappointed that Nintendo didn't put a little more effort into this. The fact that it's just an emulator running on your Switch, and it's not even in widescreen, makes me feel like this is really just a soulless cash grab, which, given Nintendo's track record, is really disappointing to see from them. I still love the game and think it belongs in the pantheon of games, but I wish we could have gotten a little bit more. But hey, that's just me. Feel free to comment down below if you disagree with any of my points, I'd be happy to discuss. And if you made it this far, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider hitting that thumbs up and maybe even subscribing to my channel. I try to review games and talk about gaming related topics which matter to me, and I love having discussions with my viewers. Once again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.